Good morning, good afternoon, good day, and good evening. I don't know what time of day it is for you, but for me, it's the good time of day. We're back at it again today. And today in studio with us today is a mighty, mighty, mighty brother. We have Texas's own, the problem solver. We have Sean McLaughlin. Sean McLaughlin is a Texas attorney. Came out of, I want to say Stephen, not Stephen F.
No, you're right, Stephen
Okay,
F. Austin.
Stephen F. Austin has a Thurgood Marshall School of Law as
Yes,
has a
sir.
for his JD. Has a he was on the moot court team, and now he is primarily practicing PI, which is personal injury, as well as criminal defense. So we have a mighty brother here. We have Sean McLaughlin in studio with us today, and we're gonna get it chopping. We're gonna get talking to this mighty black brother. We've been talking about black business. He hung his own shingle. He is a black business owner. He is a black attorney here in the state of Texas. So we're gonna get this conversation popping. Let me introduce you guys to Sean McLaughlin.
Yo, how y'all doing?
So let's get started with this. So I guess I'm gonna jump straight into the deep end.
Mm-hmm.
What made you decide to want to hang your own shingle, to become be your own man?
Well, man, that's actually a complex question because when I was in law school, I thought I always wanted the big firm job.
Right.
Well, I wanted to go clerk. That's kind of like the most prestigious thing that you can do while you in law school, especially at our school. I felt as though they were kind of like pushing that narrative on us. And, like when COVID hit, things changed, economy changed. And, I changed, especially after the bar exam. I took the bar twice. And I didn't really want to go hang my own shingle at first. I was kind of back and forth between big law and that job. But, I went down to New Orleans and I talked to my dad. And this was right around the time that Trump was getting reelected. And I was like, I think it's about time that, I do my own thing. I hear so much about these big, prestigious, predominantly white firms. Like, why don't I hear these same things about black firms? And at the same time, I'm kind of seeing all this stuff on TV with Biden and Trump and the racism and, the George Floyd trial. And I'm just like, I think it's about time that I go ahead and hang my own shingle. And, I want people to say, law officer Sean McLaughlin is a prestigious black law firm. So of course it starts with me, but we're expanding in the future.
And with that being said, one of the things I'm definitely going to put up here because I want you guys to see it. Wrong one. Wrong one. I was trying to find the Instagram initially. I put the wrong one up there. Apologize for that. Here is the law firm of Sean McLaughlin, PLLC. If you're looking for it, it is the problemsolver.law on the internet. And there you can there's a contact us page here that you have, as well as his practice area. So you got criminal defense, business law, entertainment law, personal injury, and it goes in and it gives a bullet point list of what that means in each of those categories. So if you're looking for an attorney here in the state of Texas, Sean McLaughlin he got you. Has a criminal defense, he got you. As a matter of fact, while we were here, we had to sit there. He had to put out some fires. He's definitely always on when it comes to taking care of his clients, making sure that his clients are okay, and making sure that people are dialed in and understand what's going on. Let me pull us back to taking a look at us as opposed to taking a look at the site. But so that was what made you want to jump into that?
Yeah, man. It was just time, man. I think it was just best, for me at that time to do that. And I'm loving it, man. I like the freedom. I get to pick and choose what clients I want. I got a flexible schedule. I'm not, billable hours are not hanging over my head, So I think it's the way to go, man. I would recommend this to anybody. I wouldn't have it any other way.
I'm glad to hear that, because a lot of times we get fed this narrative of go work for somebody else or go work at a bigger firm. And then I guess it's a micro. I mean, we're looking at a microwave approach, and you're taking what I like to call the crock pot approach to it, where you sit there like, nah, I'm gonna make my money, but it doesn't have to be all front loaded. It's coming, and when it comes, it's gonna be a lot better.
Yeah, but I still have mentors too. I run everything about a few attorneys who I really respect. And I think I recommend it to anybody, especially in this profession. If you're hanging your own shingle or if you're in a big law, I don't necessarily mean that you have to go work for those people, but I do think it's really, really good to run things by, more experienced attorneys, just so you can get, a more in-depth perception about your case.
Did that come from the individuals that you were clerking with, or as far as your mentors, or is it other black brothers out there that are mentoring and actually taking young brothers under their wing?
to be honest, I had a mentor.
Okay.
He served his purpose at the time that I needed him. But I like litigation, man. I like people. I'm a social person. I like
Right.
being in a courtroom. It's like a rush like no other. And I think he was on a he's been practicing for so long to where like now he's primarily is kind of like doing a lot of pleas. And I want the trial experience, which of course, I mean, we especially we doing criminal defense, you're doing it because you like litigation.
Right.
You know, but I felt as though he provided me everything he needed to provide me at that time. And I still, you know, have a good relationship with him till this day, but I've expanded, you know, my mentoring list.
So he likes plea. So he didn't get into like civil law and doing transactional law. He just doesn't.
No, he did criminal defense, but
Okay.
I guess his approach was something that I didn't like, because as I progressed in my career and I learned more and that things got a little bit more complex, he was always reverting me back. Well, just tell him take a plea, you know. And I'm just like, that's not always the best interest. I mean, I guess it's time efficient for you as an attorney, you know, at the same time, especially if you're charging flat fees.
Right.
You know, you're gonna get your money regardless. But at the same time, when you got like that ambition, that drive, and you got like they call like that courtroom bug, where you want to be in a courtroom, you're too ambitious for that box, you know. But sometimes pleading is in the best interest of your client. So you got to balance, you know, your client's interest, of course, is primarily
right. That's a primary.
That's forefronted, you know,
right.
But at the same time, you know, expanding your skills as an attorney.
And I like that answer, because a lot of times, and I got to be careful how I say this.
Oh, yeah.
Many times you have it where attorneys, they want to take the plea. Like you said, it's more expedient for them. They're trying to get in there, and I say it's easier for them just to take the plea. And the client actually just needed representation, right? And a lot of times it's like they take the easy way out, the way that says, okay, well, I say, here's what it is. You done did X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
I say, and just take the plea. And instead of looking at it like, oh, okay, well, we could, but they're not going to be able to prove this element or these two elements. And I say, it looks like it's going to be a little more legwork, but we're definitely going to get you off. Yeah,
exactly. I can actually get you. And that's one thing I like about, I think that's one of the positive things of hanging your own shingle, that you get that more in-depth, intimate experience, I think, as an attorney, and you really get to know your clients. And I don't mean necessarily like cross that professional boundary with your client, but you get to look at them like they're people, not as a bill, you know. And I think that's really important. Of course, you know, I got a family to feed. You know, of course, this is a business relationship, but at the same time, you know, I'm going to actually take that time and actually, you know, do what's in your best interest. I'm going to look through every affidavit. I'm going to look through the warrant. You know, I'm going to take heed to everything that you're telling me that you want. Of course, my professional advice is my professional advice. I'm the attorney, but at the same time, you know, I'm actually getting a much more intimate relationship with my clients than I think I would at a big law firm.
I say, and I was seeing some of the testimonials that you had, so it looks like you've had some wins while you were going along as well. So it's not like, as like some people go like, oh well, you're doing all that work, but you're not getting anything out of it. But it sounds like you're definitely getting the wins as well.
It feels good, man. It does. I'm not even gonna lie. It's a real good feeling, especially when you get like that smile on your client. I really talk about my first client, man. I won't say his name, of course. He's from New Orleans. We're from the same hood back home in New Orleans. And I met him in a restaurant, and he just came to me, and I gave him my business card, and we was just talking. He was like, here's my card. He's like, oh yeah, man, I got this case, blah, 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 blah. It was out in Montgomery County. Well, Montgomery County is, I primarily practice in Harris County. I do take cases in Montgomery County, but Montgomery County is, a lot of attorneys, especially black attorneys, don't really take cases out in Montgomery County. They're very conservative. And I'm not saying that it's because they're a racist county or anything like that. But
I was on the wheel listening to the courts up there. So yeah.
Very conservative. It's very traditional. It's completely different from what I experienced in Harris County. You know, when they do docket call, you stand up, you know, present with counsel. You know, you don't really have that out here in Harris County.
Right.
You just approach the bench, you know, they just keep the ball rolling. But it was it a state jail felony? No, it was a state jail felony, and it was a cocaine charge. And the cocaine never made it to the laboratory. Never made it to the lab. I got a fake incident report from the police officers. Incomplete. I wouldn't say fake. Incomplete incident report. But they wound up getting rid of that entire police department, that small town. I won't say the name.
Right.
Because they had a history of just like, you know, doing things like that, especially against minorities. And that's how we beat the case, man. Just a small technicality like that. But and he was a parolee, man. He was 28 years old. you know, and he had only been out for like a year and a half. So, you know, and the first deal they offered me was like 2 years TDJC. So he was gonna have to do 2 years here in Texas, then go back to Louisiana to finish out the rest of his term because he just got out on parole. But just like when he hugged me, just like that feeling, like just that energy, like I just felt God's presence, which is like, you need to be here. You know, even though that's just a small victory, you know, I just felt this, this is where I should be.
Yeah, I said that's powerful, bro. Yeah, because when I first thought about law, that was what I used to think about, was that process of helping people, of getting to the point where you can get in there with somebody else, and that at the end of it, there is a win where you've actually affected a life in a positive manner. Because I remember going through it and looking at, what do you have when it comes to juries? Because I always like, you don't avoid jury service. I know some people like, no, yeah, you do, but I always think that there's brothers and sisters out there that need a jury of their peers.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we do. Yes,
and I was like, and the furtherance of that would be the legal aspect of representing them without that, like what you talked about earlier, was like, I'll just take the plea, right? Yeah. And actually looking at it and being able to make a difference, but seeing that you're doing that.
Yeah, man, I'm proud of it, man. But I mean, I just try to pay it forward. You know what I'm saying? So.
Has it been difficult getting started as far as hanging your own shingle? I know coming out of law school, they don't tell you a lot about the business aspect. Yes. So they teach you about passing the bar and the practice of law, but the actual practice of law, the trust accounts and all that other stuff, that they don't really get into that.
That's a whole nother ball game,
man. Was that difficult?
It was. My wife, she was a city attorney for like a year and a half. And when she came out, she did that, and then she started her own practice. So while I was taking the October bar exam in 2020, she had her own practice. So I kind of like had a blueprint, you know, file your LLC, get your IOTA, get your business, get your personal credit card, get your personal credit score up so you could get you a business credit card, you know, get your operating account up. This is how you do this. This is how you market on social media. So I kind of had some form of blueprint. But to be honest, you know, I'm still my own individual. So a lot of things I had to figure out for myself because she does business and I do criminal. And man, it is difficult. And honestly, it could be discouraging at times because you don't have that guaranteed paycheck. You don't have that security. So you got to hustle. But I mean, I've been knocking the eyes my whole life. So that's nothing. You know, I felt comfortable with doing that. But it got frustrating, you know, sometimes.
Well, two things. One, I'm gonna see if I can pull it up here without pulling up the other people that's on the Instagram, because I love your Instagrams. It's very professional looking. And when I would see and let me see if I can just pull this up here, because it's like I was trying to pull it up initially, and when I start and now I'm looking at, oh, there we go. This is what I'm looking for. Let's show this up here. I'm going to switch this over so they can take a look at this as well. Because I love how your Instagram looks. And you said this is something that you and your wife have been working on. Is this Instagram, how to get it looking like this? Or
yeah, so if you check out her Instagram, she's the Bank Solutions on Instagram. Shout out to Marina Banks. She does her own marketing. I do my own marketing also. So I mean, I learned, I ain't gonna lie, brother, it was a little difficult, you know, having my wife teach me something. You know what I'm saying? So it was difficult. It was a humbling experience, but I took heed to the advice that she was saying, and I started to take what she was saying and kind of collaborating, doing my own thing, you know, being creative, and this is it, man. So I mean, it's going well, brother. I'm proud of it. I'm just taking it day by day.
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I love it. It's fire. I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay. Every time I see what you guys put out, it looks good. And I guess I'm gonna get a little personal. So because you mentioned it several times. So you're married now.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
And your wife is also an attorney.
Yes, she is. She's a business law attorney.
Okay. How you liking? How long have you been married? How long have you been off the market?
I've been off the market for 3 years.
Okay.
3 years. But
let me not mess that up. Let me correct that question, because that might sound like, there's a got you question. No, I was saying, how long have you been married? Off the market, like
November
you said,
5th. November 5th is when we decided we eloped. And best decision I think I could have made, bro. I love her. She's an amazing woman. Blessings from the Lord, man. Like, really, it's a blessing from the Lord. But yeah, man. she's done a lot, you know, to help me with this process, especially when I didn't pass the bar the first time. I took the February 2020 bar while I was in law school. I went hard, man. I went hard.
I remember.
Depleted my funds, and you know, when I got the news I didn't pass, I was heartbroken. Like it's frustrating. It's not an easy thing.
Been there.
Yeah. You know, you invest, you know, these past 3.5, 4 years of your life into this test, that exact moment when you open that email to see if you made that passing score. And when you don't get that, it's crushing.
Oh man,
You know, and it's a lot of other psychological things that come along with that. That app, because that's just one moment. You still have to retake the bar exam, and at the front of your head while you're studying for that test, it's like an uphill battle. You know, you still reminded of not passing. You know, you still welcome with that possibility. So she was very supportive during that time, man. And I think that a lot of people, especially I think a lot of minorities, man, we don't really have like that. Our class was different. I'll say this. We don't really have that financial support, as you know, as I would say other ethnic groups may have, especially our class of 2020. You know, we were welcomed with COVID. You know, right after I think a few days after I took the bar, it was like we in a global pandemic, you know. So it was just a lot of other factors that kind of contribute to that stress. And she held it down, man.
That's good.
She held it down. So you know,
black couples supporting each other.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'll be honest with you. I love hearing that. A lot of times, when we start talking about black families right about now, the temperature on the internet, anywhere you go, it's like it's pitting us black men and black women against
each other.
Yeah,
yes.
I say, and to hear black man and black woman together and working together, supporting one another. You have there's a few examples of that I see, but that every time I hear it, when I say it makes me feel good. It makes me, man. I'm trying to curse right now. It makes me feel good.
I appreciate it, man. It's hard work though. I mean, any marriage is hard work, but it's hard work. But we don't have any intentions on going to practice with each other. You know, she has her own practice, is doing very successful, and I have my own. We keep the business separate. You know, from the relationship, so that's good.
But it also helps the fact that both of you guys are into law, and since both of you guys are in the law, you come home from the office, you're able to sit down, or she come home and she talk about certain aspects of law. You go like, oh, you get it.
Yeah,
I say it's something that you guys can share, even though share it at home and understand and be able to relate with one another. And still keep it separate at the office. It's not like, oh, it's this or it's that, but you have that aspect of it. And I love that specifically.
I like the fact that we get to bounce ideas off each other, and that really does help. It helps a lot. And I would honestly say I would not be as successful as I am now if it was not for her. And I can admit that humbly.
I say, because you need somebody sometimes to take that opposing viewpoint. You have an idea. You're looking at the case one way, and you're going, "Oh, they need this," and I got them on this, I got them on that. Like you like going through moot court, and then have somebody come in there and to give you that opposing view. Like, well, what about this? I say, what about that? But let's go ahead. Let's have that discussion, because it looks like you're missing this, and this, and be like, go, God. Oh,
yeah,
right.
Yeah, you're right. That's why I say it's always important, even if it's not your spouse, but just to have mentors, colleagues. Like, this is a profession, and I've learned it's a very small profession. The number one thing you want to protect is your reputation. You know, so have mentors, man. Reach out to people, attend networking events. You don't necessarily have to be, you know, super buddy, but I think eventually an organic relationship will, you know, grow from that. So I advise any new attorney to definitely get you a mentor. You don't necessarily have to go work for somebody, but get you a mentor. You know, because the practice of law is completely different from what we learned, I think, in law school.
I agree.
It is.
I definitely agree. I say, because when you talk about getting the mentor aspect of it, have the networking, the older generation used to call it, they didn't call it networking. They said it's not what you know, it's who you know. That's how they used to always say it. And so I would hear that from my parents, hear that from the grandparents, hear that from various individuals. And as they're talking about, it's not the what you know, it's the who you know aspect of it. Trying to see about, okay, well, who do I know? Because that's what gets your foot in the door. The what you know keeps you there, but it has and they'll help you on the what you know as well, but you have to get into that aspect or get into that point.
Yeah, relationships are everything in this profession. It's everything. It's everything. So be careful, how you treat people. Always be nice to everybody, because you may be talking to the next, district court state judge, the next federal judge, next DA. Who knows?
My divorce attorney is now a judge, so yes.
See, prime example. So just be cautious, man, and just be professional, be respectful, be kind to everybody, and protect your reputation.
Yeah. Is there anything besides the mentor aspect in getting into this that that you found that was difficult, or that made it that was not what you were expecting?
Excuse me, my phone again. I had this perception of being like this great white knight, coming into profession, I was going to change so many different things in so many different ways. I have, like we just talked about, like I have a lot of small victories, like, as I said, like my first client, which makes me feel good. Like I know this is where I'm supposed to be, but it's a lot of injustices that happen, in this profession, especially in criminal defense. In the criminal justice system. It's flawed. It's not perfect. Of course, it's ran by humans, human nature. We are imperfect beings by design, but it's a lot of things that I've seen happen that are very unethical. Or just other attorneys not properly doing the work, or just taking retainers and not performing any work, or just having the client sign a plea and the client has no idea what they're signing to. Like, I can't even tell you, brother, how many times people have come like, man, you have to go talk to an appellate attorney. It's wild, man. But I try to do my part, try to keep God first, and I just take it day by day.
Yeah, I've seen some attorneys that will do just the whole continuance thing, right? So it's like they got a client, something happens, they go in there, they'll file a motion for continuance, and depending on the court that they're in, it's like you said, it's a small group. Everybody knows everybody. What court you're going to be in, how the judge is going to react to it. And some of them I've known them where they just continue to just file a continuance every single time they go in there. It's just file a continuance, and I'm like, how does that help your client? Granted, your client probably is out, but it's like your client every few months has to go back to court just to have another continuance file, just to come back to court again, just to file another continuance, and it's like. Do they have a decent case? Oh, yeah, they have a decent case. I just don't have the time to work on it right now.
And I think that's when you have to balance that, is this in my best interest of my client? Because let's say it's a numbers game. Let's just be honest. Like the more billable hours I have, the more money I make. The more clients I have, the more money I make. So I'm going to take as many clients as I possibly can to make as much money as I can. But who suffers when you do that?
Right.
Your client suffers, especially if you don't have the team and the work capacity to actually perform to the best of your ability to perform in the client's best interest. So it's a balance between the two. But to piggyback off what you're saying about the continuums, like in criminal, like you could keep resetting your case. It could be strategic. You may want to put the case to trial. You may want to put it on the trial docket. You could be waiting for evidence. A lot of times when I'm resetting cases, I'm really waiting on evidence. So it's a tit for tat kind of thing.
Okay. Because I've seen them go both ways, and like you said, I don't really deal with criminal actually at all. The only thing I deal with is mediation. So everything I'm dealing with is on the civil side, whether it's mediation for family dissolving or mediation for business relationships dissolving. That's all I deal with. So it's like looking at it from that perspective. I get that perspective. I don't get to see the criminal side of it. I look at it, I go, I don't know.
Yeah, man. I like criminal, man. I like being in the courtroom. It's fun. I love the rush, and I love it, man. I'm blessed to be here.
Yeah. So you're married. You guys plan on having any kids or anything along those lines, or?
Yes, we do plan on it. That's just to be announced.
I'm prying, but I'm not prying.
Yeah, but you prying. But it's all love, brother.
So whenever I think about because I love the narrative here, because it's a successful black man in a relationship with a successful black woman and a successful black couple doing success because a lot of times, like, again, I don't like the narrative that we see a lot of times on the whether it's in the news or anything else. And I guess we do have some comments here, and I'll put them up as we're going. Okay, first from Son of the Sun, what are the early pitfalls as a young lawyer would be one question he has for you. And then is what is your favorite case? So I'll let you take those in whatever order that you want to take those
in. What's the first question he asked? I know who that is. What's good, man? Hope all is well with you. He said, so what's some pitfalls as a young attorney? Pitfalls is, I think, the lack of experience. To say that, the lack of experience.
Okay.
You will have, and just being honest, some DAs, they're going to Google you. They're going to put your barcode in. They're going to see what cases you had. And as I said before, you do criminal law because you like litigation, because there's always a high possibility that, you will be put on the trial docket.
Right.
They will Google you. They will research and see what kind of experience you have. And I've had offers, no lie, that were BS offers that I believe was a reflection of my experience. Now, there's a good thing with a lack of experience because you have no idea how I would perform in a courtroom. You have no point of reference.
Right.
All you have is what you see, but you don't have the complete story. You just have this specific chapter because maybe I haven't been put on the trial docket yet. Maybe maybe I'm just that good where all of my cases just get dismissed, So I think that would probably be like your biggest downfall. But I mean, just keep your head high, man. Be confident is the most important thing. Be confident, have a mentor. And this is where having a mentor is really essential because you get to have a more seasoned attorney to bounce ideas off so you can, help navigate that process.
Okay. And I guess let me get to the second question he asked. The second question was, what is your favorite case? I know we talked about your first case. What's the favorite one?
Oh, my favorite case. My favorite case thus far. Who's my favorite case? I think that first case was probably like the most exciting case that I had. So maybe because it was like my first case, but I don't necessarily really have like a favorite case, man. Like just to be honest with you, I think my favorite case is gonna be that case that like I go to trial on because like I want to go to trial so bad, like so bad. I've sat second chair on some trials, but like I haven't yet to sit first chair on the trial. So as of now, man, I don't have a favorite case, but hopefully one day I will.
So what's it like with court cases now in the time of COVID and now that we're coming out of it? Is there any difference with having to appear before the judge remotely and via Zoom? Well, I know, there's two courts in Fort Bend County. I know that they're WebEx courts. Almost all the other courts that I know of are Zoom courts. But is there any other difference with that?
So primarily in Harris County, the courts are allowing Zoom. I think there's like one or two judges that don't allow Zoom anymore. But at one point in time, primarily that was what you had to appear via Zoom. Now, there was a plus to that was it was beneficial for both you and the client because some judges actually allowed the defendant to appear, via Zoom. Some judges mandate that if it's your first court appearance that the defendant has to be physically present in a courtroom. Your attorney can appear via Zoom, but you have to physically be present. You don't really get that same like courtroom atmosphere via Zoom. And I think it's real easy to get comfortable because Lord knows I did. I put on the button down, put on nice watch, put on the do-rag, brush my hair, and I'll be right there, in front of the webcam. And I have on basketball shorts, with some slippers, no socks. You know what I'm saying?
Just got your slides on.
Yeah, so it can easily get comfortable, like that. But I have made it, a thing for me to be in a courtroom for my court appearances. And sometimes like I don't even I may be on a docket for something, but we waiting on the discovery. So you don't really have to, appear. Like the coordinator probably just will reset your case. So it just depends on the court, depends on the judge. But I would suggest to any new attorneys to make that appearance because you don't really get like that feel, that courtroom atmosphere when you're appearing via Zoom. You don't really get that personal, intimate interaction that you want to have, as we briefly talked about before. Like it's a profession and it's small. Like you want to make your presence known. You want to shake hands. You want to look the judge in his eyes. Hello, I'm so and so, newly licensed attorney. When I first came in the game, like I was introducing myself as a newly licensed attorney. It was like, what? You sound very confident to say you're a newly licensed attorney. But, I pulled that. I kept that in my back pocket just because, some things like with criminal law, you just got to jump into it.
Right.
You're going to make some mistakes. Don't make any monumental mistakes, but You know, like for example, like my first court appearance, I had no idea. Like I walked in, I took the case, but I had no idea who the coordinator was. I had no idea, you know, who the clerk was. Like, you know, I had no idea who the judge was. You know, where's the attorney of record paperwork? What's this? What's a reset? What's this? You know, you just kind of like got to jump into it. So if you're a new attorney, get in the courtroom.
Okay. So
Get a mentor, get in the courtroom.
get a mentor, get in the courtroom. I say as a new attorney, how was that process for you? And I guess I'm going to go backwards at this point. As a making that decision that you wanted to be an attorney, going as a taking the LSAT, getting into law school, understanding what the process was. How was that experience for you?
Oh man. So I guess I gotta rewind a little bit.
As a go back.
So I went to Stephen F. Austin State University out there in Nacogdoches. And I did moot court when I was there. I did it for 2 years.
Did it in law school.
Yeah, I did it in law school too. That was like my first introduction to law school. So I had a professor, and I told her I wanted to go to law school. She was like, "What? You know, we don't really have. I mean, already it's a small percentage of black students already there, so you don't really hear any blacks. You hear black students say they want to go to law school, but how many people are actually willing to put in the work?" So I got involved in various different organizations at the school, and I stumbled upon moot court, and that was like my real first introduction to actually having to do legal work outside of my criminal justice bachelor's degree, which I was going to school for. And I fell in love with it, man. And it was hard. I had a couple professors that actually walked me through the process and things like that, like the LSAT, but they were pretty much like hands off. But it was difficult, especially, you know, I was a first generation like law school grad in my family. My dad actually got into Southern Law School when we was living in New Orleans. Yeah, but he didn't go. He got an acceptance letter, and he did not go. But it's so funny, man. The apple don't fall too far from the tree. And I finished the race, man. So that's how I know it was God given.
There it is.
You know, so
I worked with a lady one time, and her mother took the California, went to law school, took the California bar. So it was in California for law school, took the California bar, passed the California bar, passed the MPRE, and never practiced law.
Wow.
As they went into insurance.
Wow. It's not for everybody. We just talked about that. And I guess when we get there, we'll talk about the stress, you know, of being a new attorney, because it comes with a lot too.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like I said, I can only imagine. I said that was one of the things I was looking at. Like, if I pass, if I go through and I actually pass the bar, do I really want to do the whole new attorney thing? I don't know. I really don't know. I'm gonna do it just because I went through the whole law school, the experience.
Man,
I'm like,
do it.
But it's like, do I really want to? I'm like, I don't know, but it's like I'll cross that bridge after I pass and see where we go from there.
I would suggest, man, that everybody should at least, you don't know what you like until you actually experience it. Now, of course, I think we got all things that we know for a fact that we just wouldn't like. Of course, you have to know yourself, but as I said before, like I didn't start off thinking I was going to do criminal. I thought I wanted to do appellate work. I was like, do I want to do appellate work? Should I go clerk? Because I clerked at the 14th Court of Appeals on the internship. Okay. Do I want to go get a government job? Do I want to go try to get a job at big law? Like I didn't really know. So when I decided to hang my own shingle, I was taking whatever came through the door.
Law.
You know, I got $40 million worth of student loans, like they need to be paid off. I got bills, you know, on the top of like I'm ambitious and I'm ready to get embarked on my new career. So I think people should, you know, just take it slow, take it day by day. Don't put too much stress on yourself, and just roll with it, man.
Okay. I say that sounds like a plan right there. That sounds like advice for life.
Yeah, just roll with it, man.
Just roll with it.
It was meant to be, will be.
Put the work in and then roll with it. I like that. I like that process. So I guess my next question, as I'm not going to be anything near as engaging as Son of the Sun. Let me take that down here so I could have you back up here so we got the full thing here. So I guess the next thing is what are the plans going forward? So you're in law school. I mean, not in law school. You're practicing law now. You have the family. Do you have? Are you gonna? I'm looking at. I'm gonna put this back up. Let me put this back up for a moment here, just in case you're just joining in. We're talking to the problem solver, Sean McLaughlin.
Yes, sir.
And this is the very professional looking Instagram page for the problem solver here. And in addition to his Instagram, this is the website. If you're looking for a competent, outstanding attorney here in the state of Texas, specifically I want to say it's just Harris County, Montgomery. He's all over. Whether it's Arlington, Tarrant, I hear him talking about he's all over here as far as practicing here in the state of Texas. So if you need a competent attorney, I say right here, the problemsolver.law is where you can find him at here. And I guess let me. You mind if I put the phone number out as well?
Yeah, of course.
Well, then let me come in here. It is 346-5-SOLVER. So if you're looking for the problem solver, again, 346-5-SOLVER, or the lawyer at the problemsolver.law, or as a contact information if you're just listening in and you're not actually able to sit there and take a look at it right now. And but in the state of Texas, Sean McLaughlin, he is the problem solver. And I'm going to get back to my question that I have for you there. So going forward, looking at what it is that you want to accomplish, what are some of the big ticket items that you actually want to accomplish going forward within your career as an attorney? I'm sure that there's a lot of things there that you look at. I know I did. I had a lot of aspirational things that I wanted to accomplish, whether it's arguing a case before the Supreme Court, or representing something that's huge, not necessarily a class action, but something that is constitutional law worthy or civil rights worthy. What are some of the aspirational aspects that you had?
As I said before, litigation has always been like my primary thing for law, being in that courtroom. But to be honest, like this, my criminal defense work in hopes will lead to more civil litigation, like civil rights, right. Civil rights cases. Like for moot court, what we did back in law school were primarily all civil rights cases for both. That was the team I was on, was all civil rights cases. And I think those are the more thrilling cases where I feel as though as a Black man, I'll be making effective change and kind of forefronting systematic racism, if it's police brutality or if it's other areas of civil rights that where I feel as though like it's like my God's given purpose to do. Because I mean, of course, I'm starting here, but this is not just the end goal for me, So yeah, I definitely see myself diving into civil rights in the future.
So now I'm going to go backwards. And since we're just talking, I'm going all the way back. So I heard you talking about your mom, talking about your dad and the influence that they've had on you. Mm-hmm. I say, what was that like with you growing up? I say, are you a Texas native?
No. Oh yeah, I'm 504, man.
Straight up New Orleans.
Yeah, born and raised in New Orleans. My personal cell number 504. I relocated here after Hurricane Katrina.
Okay.
My mom, her entire family moved here. And my dad's side, they stayed in New Orleans, but he relocated to North Carolina. He's currently back in New Orleans. My little brothers and sisters are all in New Orleans. My older sister, who's in New Orleans, well, she recently moved from New Orleans. She's in Mississippi. But yeah, man, we saw New Orleans. I mean, Mardi Gras was Tuesday, and we was, we was having us a good time,
I have family on my mom's side, the family is from New Orleans, Slidell, Metairie, in those areas. So it's like I go down there, I get to go visit family down there, and I have a uncle. He's in Hattiesburg in Mississippi right now. Really? But so in that little area, whenever I head and I take that little 6-hour drive, well, if I'm going to Hattiesburg, it's going to be a 9-hour drive. But whenever I get down there, I take that drive. I'm over there as I got the family in Slidell, got the family in New Orleans, got the family in Metairie, and then you got the family all the way out there in Hattiesburg.
Yeah, man, it's a beautiful place, man. There's no place like New Orleans. So I go every year for Thanksgiving. I try to go twice a year.
Okay.
I go Thanksgiving to see my grandmother, see my dad, and we typically go in the summertime. So we'll be making that trip soon in a couple months.
How's your wife like it? Is she from New Orleans?
Or no, she's originally from California, but she's an honorary member of New Orleans. And not just only because of me, but because she went to Dillard University in New Orleans, and my older sister went to Dillard University also. They actually knew each other after school. I didn't meet her through her, but yeah, she was a two-time HBCU graduate.
Yeah,
so, she already had her New Orleans stats before she met me. So.
Okay, all right. She had her New Orleans cred. She out there. She credentialed all the way. Yeah, she New Orleans through and through at this point.
Yeah, man.
So. What made her decide to come to Texas then? Do you know?
From what we discussed, I mean, Thurgood. I mean,
Okay.
Thurgood was her choice, man. So I think it's the primary reason. I think that's the primary reason why I think I'm still here. Because of that school. I mean, a lot of my friends who I met in law school are still here. Some have left, some are leaving, and but I'm glad that she made that decision because we wouldn't have met otherwise.
Yeah, yeah. Has that Thurgood's at Thurgood and TSU? I don't know. Has it that
Oh yeah.
TSU got me down here back in the '90s? So yeah.
Oh really? Oh wow. Wow. But I love my HBCU, man.
Oh, most definitely,
man.
most definitely. I say because it's like back in the '90s when I was I'm dating myself obviously at this point, but back in the '90s when I graduated high school, and I took about a year in a community college, PCC, Pasadena City College out there in California, and decided I was like, well, I want to go to an HBCU. That's where I want to be. I want to be at an HBCU. Everybody talking about them. I want to be at an HBCU. That's gonna be me. I came down here. It's like I thought it's gonna be just attend college and then bounce. Man, I got down here. I was like, man, cost of living, the people, everything about it. I was like, yeah, I'm here.
Especially coming from California. Cost of living is crazy, man. The gas is going up out there too.
All right, I apologize. I'm gonna go out on a tangent on you. So the house I grew up in, right?
Yeah.
No lie, when I was growing up and the parents got it, $78,000-$80,000 house, right? And if I'm being generous, I'm gonna call it 1,400 square feet. Right?
Yeah.
So it's a 1,400 square foot home. So today, or let's say about 5-6 years ago, I was back home. It was on the market. How much do you think that house was on the market?
Where's it? Altadena or Pasadena?
It's in Altadena.
Altadena. Oh man, I think at least 800,000.
Oh, you close. It's 675.
That's crazy. Do your family still own that house?
No. They up in sack now.
For us, man, hold on to that, man. And I think that's one reason why I do this. One of the reasons why I hung my own shingle. I mean, who knows if my kids be attorneys, I can pass all my practice to them. But just I think it opens up the door to so many other possibilities, business opportunities too, and business relations and just resources that I would have not known if I wouldn't have became an attorney.
I like that thought process that you just went through, though. I say the ability to be able to pass that on to your kids, right?
Yeah,
to be about. Yeah, I say because a lot of times in our society today, and this is just an observation I always make, is that a lot of people are just very self-centered on I just need to go for the gusto and I need to do it for me. But that thought process you're already thinking about, I can have a business I can pass on to my kids if they want it. I'm going to sit there and encourage them in that regard. And if they don't want it, but they still have that mentality, that mindset. Because for my parents, I got to watch my parents. They own their own business as loan brokers when I was growing up. And that would put it in my head that, okay, at first I was hesitant on, do I ever want to own my own business? Because there was the ups and downs. Like you're talking about you got to be comfortable with
being uncomfortable.
Exactly. Being uncomfortable because you're not going to have that static paycheck coming in on a regular basis. You're gonna have an irregular income, and watching them go through that process and watching them sit there and do that, I was like, okay, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that was some place where I had to get to that area. But but I had a blueprint that was in front of me to do it. Like you talking about the grind that you had.
Man, I think it's all in that. I mean, and I'm not knocking people who have a job or anything like that, because I mean I still have a job. And there's got people who work big law who probably make more money than I do. But I think it's primarily about just that concept within itself, or just having something that's your own. If you wanted to pass it on, that's really just how we need to build. That's how you build generational wealth, is keeping things in your family and passing that down the line and hoping that the asset that you have, appreciates in value.
Yeah, I said, and I love that thought process about the generational wealth, and then also if you have it allows you to have integrity and morals if you do own your, like you talk about for you as an attorney. Some people will have to take cases. They're doing door law just like you're talking about, but they have to take cases that they might ethically just be like, they feel dirty having to do it, but they're gonna do it anyway. But if you have that, you can be like, hey, I know that at the end of the night or at the end of the day, when I lay my head down, I can sleep. Okay. I know that what it is I'm doing I got into this for a reason, not just to represent that was almost scum, but I don't want to. I guess I just did it. So in any event, you're like, oh, I want to be careful about what my clientele is, and you can actually do that. Okay, these are
is that your discretion? You know, and there's certain cases that I don't take. Child molestation cases I don't take, and that's not. And please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that people who are individuals who are charged with those crimes, no matter how egregious they are or immoral that they are, that they're guilty, because they're not. The presumption of innocence still stands until the disposition of that case. And I think no matter what the charges that an individual is charged with, that you are entitled to, competent representation. Like, I thoroughly do believe that. But certain cases I know that I personally can't take, because I emotionally can't necessarily handle it. Now, I know how to separate the business from the pleasure, that this is only a job, not to get too emotional attached. And that was a struggle for me. As I said, like, my first client, like, he was innocent. Like, I'm looking at the evidence, I'm looking at the stuff, and I'm looking at, more importantly, the lack of evidence to support, every element of these crimes. Like, this ain't adding up, and I knew that his liberty was truly at stake, that he was going to have to do, 2 years here, in Texas, then he'll have to go finish out another 7 out in Louisiana at 28 years old. That's 9 years of his life, that he was potentially going to have to lose. And I mean, you have to learn how to separate, your job from your personal life. Like, it's really, really important. And it's really, really important to have boundaries. I said it was something I struggle with.
I used to ask you, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I used to answer the phone at all hours of the night. Sometimes I still do. I mean, the money calling. Like, it is what it is. But at the same time, I have to. It's really important that you establish those boundaries, in your house and with yourself, and especially with your clients. That's outlined in your contracts. This is the parameters of when you can contact me. Give me 24 to 48 hours to contact you back. I heard clients as use witness here. Call me 6 times since the hour and a half I've been sitting up here with you. And some people don't understand that, but it's really, really important to be honest and forefront about those boundaries.
That was what when I went through my divorce, that was when I learned about the boundaries that an attorney has to have. Because I to this day, and as I don't want to put her on because she probably like, I don't want to be put on blast. But to this day, in talking to my divorce attorney, I still talk to her occasionally. There were times when I would get so emotionally distraught going through this, I would like call her up like, and it was like, she would have to let me know this is the boundary, or she would call me back the next day, right? She would tell me up front, like, this is what the boundaries were. And I say, and it didn't dawn on me until probably halfway through it. She's a human being also, not just an attorney, and that she's sitting up there going through this process. I say, and I granted, she's, like I said, she's been practicing forever, so she got over that initial hump of where your heart bleeds, and and she was, sometimes I would call her, she'd be like, you realize that this is going against your retainer, right? Yeah. So is that important?
And that's when you get them. That's when they stop.
Yeah, it was. She asked me, and at the time I was making real good money. I had to think about it for a moment. Yeah, that is. I gotta get it up. Then there'd be times where, like, she'd ask that question, I'd be like, no, you're right. We'll talk about it next time. Next time we have our call. But it was like, but being able to make that separation, especially like you said, you're dealing with people's liberty, you're dealing with people's lives, especially in crim law. You're dealing with these aspects of it, and I've talked to several of our classmates, and one of the things it's a commonality, because even in doing mediations, it's this thing where you're dealing with people on the worst days of their lives. They're going through something that's atrocious and horrendous. The emotion, like, especially in the family ones, it's like the emotion.
That's why I don't practice it. That's why I stay away from it, man.
I say, so it's like, I don't know how you cope with that. There's some of our classmates they said that's a hard thing for them to cope with, and they're switching the practice of law that they're dealing with just so that they don't have to cope with it. For me, and this might be why if I do continue doing anything with family, it's going to be the mediation route. I don't know if I could do like what you're talking about and be able to keep that separate.
You primarily deal with SACSFs, right? That's an acronym for
a SAPSR. Yeah, so as a suits affecting parent-child relationships. Yeah, whenever I'm doing them, it's SAPSRs, and I've done all kinds of mediations. So when I was first doing them, was qualified to do SAPSers, but I don't like family law, if I'm being honest about it.
Yeah.
I say
I hit it a lot. I know another attorney, a colleague of mine, she initially, when we was a couple years ago, she was family. And then she's been doing it for a couple years now. And now she's at a point in her life where she doesn't want to do it anymore because the emotional drain that it has on you. And you deal with that in criminal too, assault, family violence cases. I mean, it's all convoluted to be all, because you got to realize too that, as you said before, you're dealing with people at excuse me, the worst points of their lives, and it's affecting their family also. Protective orders are in place, people can't see their kids, things like that, and it has a very dramatic effect on these people. And I think it goes to show like the different hats we wear, the variety of different worlds that we have as attorneys, because I do have to understand that this person is dealing with a very, very traumatic experience right now, and I have to be sensitive to that, but at the same time be assertive with establishing that boundary, and it's a very, very thin line.
It is,
so you got to be really, really careful with that. So I mean, it's not easy work. It's not for the weak.
No,
that's for sure. It's not for the weak.
One of the hardest parts, at least for me, in dealing a lot of times with the mediation aspect of it, is when I sit down and you get into that mediation. It's a SAPSer mediation. Even as I say, sometimes you'll deal with it with the big companies, but it's so clinical in those situations. It's we're trying to get to a number, blah, blah, blah. But within the family side, it's you walk into it you're in one room, you're talking to somebody, they're emotional about it, and you're listening to them, and you know what the law is, and I understand that you feel that way, and trying to be able to deliver that information to them, like, I get where you're coming from, right? And I understand. I would probably feel the same way. However, what you're asking for is not reasonable, and and you're not going to get that in any court, right? I've had fathers sit there wanting to try to get their child on weekends or whatnot, and the child is under 3, or it hadn't reached the age of 3, and it's like, well, we just have to go to court. And I'm looking at his attorney like, you need to tell him that that's not like, you look at the attorney has to turn to his client and be like, look, I understand it, and we're gonna ask for it. He's gonna take it back there, he's gonna ask, but just know that even if they say no and you talking about going to court, you're not getting this in court, right?
It's funny that you said that, not to cut you off, brother.
No.
I've had to withdraw from certain cases, and I think it's really important that you manage clients' expectations.
I agree.
It's really, really important. I don't make any guarantees or outcomes of certain things. I know certain things, I mean, look at my professional opinion, like, oh, well, they can't prove this, but I'm not going to just be like, of course, I have to discuss certain things with my clients, and I'm very transparent with that, but I can't turn water into wine. And sometimes that they expect you to turn water into wine, when I'm subject at the discretion of the judge, and more importantly, the law. We all are subject to, we have to operate in the parameters of the law. And sometimes they want you to do things that are unethical, or things where they want you to just pull a rabbit out the hat, and it just don't work like that. And I've had to withdraw, from, maybe I'm not that attorney for you. Here's your retainer, or better yet, here's the rest of that bill.
Here's the rest of your bill.
Yeah.
Minus I need you to pay this, as well as how do you want to do? You want to do it from the remainder of your retainer? Or do I have to sue you for it? Which one is it?
So, honestly, situations like that, I don't even worry. I send the invoice, so that I was working on your case. But if sometimes it works out, sometimes it don't. That's why I think it's really, really important. Anybody who's listening to this podcast to shop around like you do. I mean, you shop around for houses, you shop around for cars, you get the best deal. I think it's the same for attorney, not only in the sense of looking who has the best price, because it is a profession. Remember that.
Right.
You don't go to the doctor and negotiate. Well, I want to pay this price for the MRI. This is a legal profession. But at the same time, you want to get an attorney that's right for you. And I think that's very, very, very important that you do that. It has a good reputation. Ask around, ask your family members, and do your research.
I think also, if like to take anything away from it, and again, we're talking to the problem solver. And it's at the problem solver .net
.law.
.law. So I said .net. Let's see what we have. Another comment down here. I apologize. Since starting your own law firm, what is the one thing you have learned about yourself? Would be a question here.
Since starting my own law firm, what's one thing I've learned about myself? It's a hard question. I think it has significantly increased my confidence in myself.
Okay.
Like really, like I was already, I think, a confident individual, but I think when you face with, these cases, right, that people lives and liberty are at stake, and you get to second guessing yourself, especially as a new attorney. As I said before, I'm a solo practitioner.
All right.
It can be really, really stressful. It could be difficult, and I think you putting in that time and that work and that dedication to be in the best interest of your client, and act in the best interest of your client, and you see yourself push those bounds and push past your limits. It's extraordinary, man. I think it's a really, really good accomplishing feeling for your soul. And I've learned it about myself with these cases that, it's hard work, but it's not as hard as I thought it was. On the outside looking in, it's easy to say like, dang, that's impossible. When you really get in the trenches and you really get in the field and you really see yourself exceed the expectations that you have for yourself, it's monumental, man. It's amazing.
I'll be honest with you, and I guess I'm wearing my bias on my sleeve right now. The HBCU that we went to for law school, I think that legal education was second to none.
Mm-hmm.
Because once I got into, I'm not even in doing what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
but just in dealing with other attorneys as a mediator and being able to understand that process, understand what the law is, understand how they're going to apply it, and being able to work with it and to be I'm like, thank you, TMSL. I thought
definitely. Thank you.
I thought I was going to be like, I always hear people like from Harvard and other places where they be like, oh, because my OCEO, he came out of Harvard. And he was talking about, oh, you don't learn anything in law school. You just learn how to pass the bar. And I didn't know anything because he ended up working at Baker McKenzie, ended up being the managing partner, ironically. But he was like, he learned nothing out of law school. And yet still, it's like I came out and I'm like, oh no, I learned a lot coming out of law school. I don't know. I'm thankful for it.
I'll say this, in law school, you learn it from a theoretical standpoint. I mean, of course, it's somewhat practical because you're learning a lot of case law and you get to see the development of the law. But, actually knowing who's the coordinator, what motions do I file, that's an actual practical aspect of it that's not necessarily taught. I mean, they got some 3L courses that teach that, and if you have the proper internship and things like that. But as we started off this conversation, from a business aspect, they don't really teach you how to run your own law firm. Yeah. There's classes that do teach you, but there's a lot of things that they can't teach you that you just have to, that are just growing pains that you're just gonna have to learn, by just getting out there. So I can understand that, but I mean, hats off to TMSL. They gave me an opportunity.
I'm gonna hate contradict you. I don't know what has a. You weren't in section 2 though, right?
I was in section 4.
Okay, so I was in section 2. Our Civ Pro professor talked constantly about those forms that you're talking about and needing to fill them out. Mm-hmm. Part of the curriculum that she would do to us as well, she made us go to each of the courts. So you had the different courts that are there, and to look up how do you file and what the court's procedures were for filing this, like filing a continuance.
E-filing.
Yeah, and we had to go through this process. In section 2, it was like, okay. And then it's like, even in some of the later courses that she was teaching in law school, it was, okay, so in this court, how do you file a motion for continuance? In this court, how do you file and it was all of these little different things. I'm like, I would have never, ever, ever thought about that if it wasn't for her jogging that in me, going like, hey, and it's ironic you put it on a test. So it's like, and it was take-home test, but you would have to go through, and part of your take-home test was you had to start going onto the court's websites, finding out. Okay,
she was a great professor. I had excuse me, my 3L year. Yeah, the professor. She was great. But I mean, case in point.
Yeah. That was one of those. It's like, thank you very much. And do we have any other questions? Okay, no other questions. I was like, I don't want to miss any.
Nah, man. But man, I love it, man. I'm blessed to be here. All praises to the Most High. Yeah. It's hard work, but I'm here.
I know you've been getting calls and we've been going at this for an hour. Are you clear to keep on going?
Oh yeah, I'm still going, man. We good to go, man.
All right, I was like, 'cause I don't want
Friday
to.
afternoon.
Yeah, I was like, because I seen you got the calls and they kept on coming in. I'm like, I don't want the clients calling up, be like, hey, I say, I got a person out here that's a bond. Hey, I need, so
yeah.
I say, so in going through that whole process, like you said, what besides talking to them, is there anything else that you do in order to help manage your clients' expectations?
To manage my clients' expectations, I think that's like, I'm always doing that. That's like a constant thing. That's not, I think the first initial encounter with the client is the consultation I have with the client. I may pull up their case. I look at what's filed, look at their criminal history. I look at everything that I have access to without, officially signing off to the case. So when I officially sign on to the case, I'll file something called a notice of appearance. That's letting the court that I am the attorney of record, let the ADA know the attachment to the case, whatever discovery that's already there, I'll have access to that. By initially looking at the criminal history, I wouldn't say you get a gauge. You look at the charges, more importantly. You kind of like get an idea what ballpark you're in. But once you see that incident report, you see that police report and the video footage, because ain't no better ever than that video footage, things change. So, and that's a process. I'm not going to get, a DWI video on a first court appearance. It may take 2 or 3 months before I get that. It may take 2 or 3 weeks. It varies. So, once I get this new evidence throughout that process, I'm always having to manage that expectation because new things may arise, which I may initially thought the case may take a completely different, route. If that makes sense.
It does. I say, and there's a reason why I asked that question. So I talked to a defense attorney a while back, and one of the things he talked about was the fact that, like you said, it takes a minute to get all that information in. He said before he would even meet with his client, as far as trying to manage expectations, he said before he would even meet with the client, he said that especially if it's an appointment, he would go get all the information that the DA had. He would see everything that the prosecutor had, all the evidence. He would look it all over, see where they were at. He said, and then he would take it to his client. He would talk to the client about it. He was a criminal law guy. He said, and the reason why he did it that way was because a lot of times people catch themselves in they catch themselves in a lie. They'll tell you some lie on how the thing happened. He says,
take a sip of this while you say that.
He said, and instead of going through that whole process, he said he found that it was easier for him just to go ahead and look at the information first, then give it to them and say, before you say, this is what they have, this is what the process is, this is what they plan on, this is how they're pleading, blah, blah, blah. He says, what's your side of the story? And then he would go, and this is what you can expect from me at this point. But and that was why I was asking, how do you help manage that expectation? Because I guess it's managing their expectation and your expectation, because he was like, managing their expectation was kind of managing his expectation, because he knew a lot of times what would happen is in the criminal side, they would lie about what it was, and there's evidence that contradicts their story. He said they've already told you
they
that
got
story.
You on video, huh?
Yeah, he says, and he said they're just gonna lie till they die at that point. He says so that whole process.
I have some stories about clients lying, and I take everything that they say with a grain of salt, and that doesn't mean that I just completely don't believe anything that you're telling me, because I am your attorney. I'm zealously will represent you to the best of my ability, in and day out. But I think it's really, really funny that you brought that up, because especially in criminal, it happens. It happens a lot. They like, maybe if I lie to my lawyer, maybe I could get this specific outcome. But don't lie to me. I'm here to help you. I can't help you. This is a team. And this is really, really important. It's a team sport. It is. I can only perform as transparent as you are with me, because the facts are the facts. I don't make the facts. Of course, something may look on video that it happened this way, but we may have other evidence that may contradict that. You may tell me a one specific narrative, and I may, I can't really take that as being the complete story, because I have to hear from the witnesses. I have to hear from the complaining witness, the CW. I got to see what the video footage say. I have to see what the DNA says. You understand what I'm saying? So I got to take all of that and put that in one big pot of gumbo and sell it to a jury.
There's that Louisiana. He said he gave it the analogy as in gumbo.
So it's not just so and it could be difficult sometimes managing a client's expectations because of that. But I love it, man, and it's I learned quickly, not to um be so gullible with my clients. I would say that.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean I don't trust you. That don't mean that, I believe that you're lying to me. I just, I'll just wait. I'm gonna write down what you're telling me what happened, and we're just gonna wait to see what we get in discovery.
So we've talked primarily about crim law. Sounds like that is where your passion lies as far as in the law. And I was just showing here on your website how you also deal with commercial law. You also deal with PI.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I'm asking, let me just get to the question, because the question deals with traditionally it pays better. And I know that there's an attorney who's very famous, a black gentleman who I took a class from as well.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely famous guy. Took it over the summer, and he talked.
I would have took that class too.
I say, we'll talk offline. I'll show you some things concerning that class. But it was a situation where he talked about that there was another famous attorney who represented one of the cases of the century.
Mm-hmm.
He says, and when he looked at what he was making from criminal law and to what this other attorney, the famous one who's still around, he's making and personal injury and those civil cases, he was like, how do I get on?
Yeah. It's much more financially lucrative by far, personal injury as compared to criminal law, unless you're taking $1 million, murder cases.
But even then, you only get about $1 million. That's what the other guy was saying.
And just being honest, I mean, statistics show that criminals commit more crimes, and so they're committing crimes because the lack of financial resources. And the two go hand in hand. So realistically, you charging, you may put on your contract $20,000 for armed robbery, but who's to say that you're going to actually get $20,000? Now they got a lot of attorneys who get their money,
right.
But you got to just remember that, know your audience, and definitely know the financial security, the financial capabilities of your client. That's very, very important. I'm very upfront and transparent. I work with my clients, primarily on my clients and minorities, just by design, because I'm a black man. There's not a lot of black men, who are criminal defense attorneys or who are on the bench. So of course I would get a lot of influx of predominantly African American men and women and Hispanic. So of course I have to remember that a lot of these people don't have the financial resources that I or you may have or other people. But personal injury, I like. Of course, a lot of people jump into personal injury because it's a very financial legal area of law. But I like doing PI, but of course, I mean, this is a profession. Let's just be honest, So I think it's a balance between the two. I mean, if you love your job and you're passionate about your job, then do it, no matter what you pay, but what they pay. But at the same time, remember that this is a business, and you can't pay your bills with passion. I guess you can. And your passions can pay your bills, but realistically, I got a family to provide.
I was gonna say, tell me how you pay it with passion. I want to share one other thing, because as you mentioned it, it's something that's a passion of mine. Whenever I think about law, it was one of the reasons why I really got into it. So this is Federal Bureau of Prisons, and this is a statistics sheet that they had on their own website. So the Federal Bureau of Prisons has a statistic on what type of cases they normally have, and it's one of those things that I think is, this is a personal opinion, is over police. So when you look at it, by far and away, 64,215 people are incarcerated in federal prison for this particular E offense, and the E offense that they have that's here is drug offenses, which is more than double anything else. And you don't even get close.
And many are marijuana offenses too.
And it is okay. I want to tread carefully. No, I'm not. I'm not even going to tread. You need to tread carefully. I'm not going to tread carefully on this one. Right now, they just have the Harm Reduction Act that just came out, or that grant that just came out, where the government is subsidizing 25 entities to
It's like $29 million or something like that, right?
it's like over $22 million annually, right?
Okay, yeah.
So what they're giving and then it's like over 300. I did I did an episode on it, but it's this whole deal where they're subsidizing getting you good crack pipes, and they call it drug use paraphernalia to reduce harm. So I'm like, so if they're subsidizing that, they know that you're going to use drugs. They haven't decriminalized drugs. They're still putting us in here or putting people in here at an alarming rate for the drugs. And then when I say us, I apologize, because they also had their race numbers here as well. And 14% of the population or 15% of the population, and we're over 38% of the drug. And this is just federal. This is not state of Texas, just federal, right? And I'm looking at these numbers. I'm like, because this is one of the things where I was passionate, like I want to get into this defense because I want to be able to change this. And like what you mentioned, it's like, how do I go about changing it at my level? But I, like I said, now I know what the answer is. At the time, I thought it was
the white knight, and you coming through, and you. Which I'm not saying that you can't do that. Of course, you always should aspire to do that. I mean, with God backing you, who knows? There is no bounds. There is no ceiling. You know, because He has no ceiling.
But yeah, I don't need you to tread into that. I know you got to deal with courts and and I know you probably don't deal. Do you do a whole lot with federal, or you
no, as of now I don't, but I am actually in the process of getting my federal license at the Southern District. But I would say this. I mean, and I'll be forefront about this. I think there should be some. I appreciate it. Thank you. I mean, does marijuana laws need to change in the United States? Of course, especially in this state. Like, I mean, that's not a secret. You know, a lot of drug offenses should be definitely changed, man.
Yeah, looking at those numbers traditionally, at least for me, whenever I look at those numbers, it bothers me immensely, especially when you come out of a program that's to harm reduction, but it seems like it's what do you call it? A pathway to jail is what they should call it, instead of harm reduction. They're trying to give you a path. We want to make sure you use clean crack pipes, that you use good rolling papers, that you have a good bong, and all your stuff that we're not going to give you the drugs. And when you do get the drugs, we are going to arrest you. We are going to incarcerate you. And I'm like, why don't you just put the money into getting, like you said, the poverty aspect, the money into
more rehabilitation efforts. I don't really know too much about that program itself, but
remind me, I'll give you a transcript after. Before
please do.
It's interesting. It is.
I don't really know too much about that specific program. But is there a correlation between the two? Who knows? You know, but I can only speak for marijuana. I know here in Harris County, don't quote me, I think it's under 4 ounces. I think they're only confiscating and you get a ticket for. I think it has to be 4+ for a state jail felony. But I mean, when it comes to marijuana and probable cause, it's already a sticky situation itself, because it's easy for an officer to say, oh, well, I smell marijuana. I smell marijuana, and okay, well, you have 3 or 4 ounces in the car, and don't let you have a firearm in the car, because now you got an unlawful carry of a weapon. And it's just things need to be changed, man. They need a lot of changes with marijuana laws.
I'm saying that's a lot of what whenever I'm looking at it, I go like, oh man, they really need to change this stuff. Otherwise, what they're doing, they're setting you up. It's kind of like what's God dog, I had the word on the tip of my tongue and I just lost it. When the government is complete, I'm so sorry, TMSL. I know what the term is. I apologize to my TMSL. I say, God dog, what is that term? When the government's complicit and they're trying to get you to commit a crime.
I was thinking like entrapment.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, it seems like it's just entrapment at this point. It's like, we're going to give you the crap pipe.
There's an argument for that.
Yeah. I say, where did I get the crap pipe? Well, we didn't give you the drugs. No. But you gave me all the paraphernalia. To utilize the drugs. I say this they have a U.S. stamp. I got this through this program that you guys put millions into for us to have good crack pipes, good bongs, and everything else. And now you're gonna sit there, you're gonna arrest me for it. It seems like entrapment, like you were. But then they go on to, well, you had a proclivity towards it beforehand.
Yeah. And you voluntarily took the part. You took
Yeah.
that act and you used it for that. It wasn't its actual intended purpose. You know, but I mean, and
I
I'm
love
not
that, I love that
saying
thought process.
and I'm not necessarily saying that it was done with malicious intent to entice people or to entrap people. But is there a correlation between you providing paraphernalia to and people accessibility to it and them ending being charged with it? I mean, who knows? There is a possibility for an argument there.
It feels like entrapment for me. I'll be
You
honest
know?
with you. But the federal government can make anything legal, or the state government can make anything legal that they want to. But I'm looking at it like, you guys providing everything for them to do it, and
Yeah.
then you're gonna go arrest them right afterwards. I'm
Yeah.
like,
That's why it's really important, man, to get out and vote. I know we just had the Texas primaries.
yes,
It was
March-
last week. Yeah,
March 1st.
March 1st. And we got a lot of, good people on the ballot from both parties. Do your research.
I'm big on.
Do your
Thank you.
research.
Thank you,
Don't
thank you.
necessarily listen to me or myself or other leaders in our community. I mean, which it's kind of like impossible not to, but always fact check everything. I don't
I
care
agree.
who's telling me this information. I would like to read it for myself and create my own opinion. So get out and vote. If you didn't vote primaries, please get out and vote come this November.
Yeah. All right, I say I'm trying to think if I have any other questions. You have any questions for me before we?
Oh man, I'm good. I think we covered everything.
All right, cool, outstanding. I say so. I know I didn't tell you guys before, because right now, and before I even hit that little outro aspect of it, we are here with Sean McLaughlin. I say, and actually, let me do this. I'm going to give you guys an opportunity just in case someone might have a question or they might want to ask. And again, this is not legal advice if you do come up here.
Yes, yes. Thank you for that.
This is just us talk. Yeah, yes. We're talking about a legal topic. I'm going to drop a link real fast. And that link is here in the comments right now. So if you actually do want to ask Attorney McLaughlin any kind of questions, you can. And again, once again, not legal advice.
Mm-hmm.
We're just talking about a legal topic. We're just sitting here. We're talking about the law. So if you have any kind of questions for the attorney, if you want to sit there and talk to a Texas attorney,
mm-hmm.
you have one right now. We have a strong, powerful brother here who
thank you. I appreciate it.
I say out here practicing law, and he's doing his thing. Let's see. I'm gonna give him a minute before I sit there, and I'm gonna sign us off. But not until.
Well, man, while we wait, man, I appreciate you for having me. I appreciate the hospitality, man. You're doing great things here, and hopefully in the future, man, we could be back, man.
Oh, most definitely. I say you're welcome to come back anytime. I'm also gonna put your information right back up here again, just so that we know we have the problemsolver.law. If you're looking for an attorney, and actually let me pull this up as well, not just the problemsolver.law website, get to contact us. The phone number here, 346-5 Solver is the phone number if you need to contact a good criminal defense attorney or a PI attorney. If you need personal injury, if you've been hit by a truck or anything along those lines, he can handle those as well. You don't need to go get the hammer. I said we got a problem solver that can handle that for you as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You can also reach me at the problemsolver.law on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So don't hesitate to reach out.
I said, and this is, look at the work this brother's doing. My goodness. I said, this beautiful. I said, I case this. Look.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I'm loving it. Every time I sit there, I look at it, I'm like, got testimonials up here, a lot of stuff here. I say, this brother's doing big things for you. I say, and since nobody's jumping on right now, I am going to call it at this point. I'm calling the ball. So we're getting on out of here. I know I didn't tell you before, and let me switch this up so I can talk to you on the way out. I say, let me drop this down. Forgive the click. It's getting ready to click. Oh, clicking right now. All right. So I know I didn't tell you before. I love you. Hope you guys having a great day. I'm sure that you're going to kill it and that you're killing it if you haven't already. And may you always, always, always have peace in your life. And we are out.